Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, how long before everything gets delayed again? Probably not that far away.
Now, it's happened.
Just Delta, you know? Bloody
What'd she
Delta.
do? Miss Bloody Goodrum
I know.
put out an album, you lazy fuck.
Yeah. I'm your host, Ashley Obley. Joining me this episode, Dylan Blight.
Hello, happy to be here to talk about what do you want to watch, what I want to watch
I
stuff.
appreciate you losing all our Delta Goodrum fans.
How
Sorry,
many's
Shannon.
left? Really? Is that, come
Shannon's a
on,
big Delta
really?
fan.
Okay, there you go. For one.
A lot of stuff to talk about in today's show. We'll be going through what's in our watch history, doing some film and TV news, giving some thumbs to trailers, and we'll do this week's top 3. Kick it off with a couple of things that we've got content for already. Jungle Cruise came out back on the
10
5th.
years ago.
Yeah, it feels a while ago, but yeah, we did a spoiler cast, which you can find on this What Do You Want to Watch feed. But Dylan, do you want to give people your quick thoughts?
It's alright. It's, I personally thought that Dwayne The Rock Johnson was miscast. Not that he's like terrible in it. I just kind of feel like I would have preferred someone else in that part for that movie, and it would have enhanced my viewing. I could have brought into the character and the relationships that character forms a little bit easier. Otherwise, Emily Blunt's really good in it, and Jack, what's his name? Whitehall?
Yep.
Whitehill? There you go.
Hole, I think. Yeah.
Hole, there you go. Those two are the stars. They're the best part of it. Otherwise, it's your typical sort of. It's a cross between like what is it? It's a cross between what's that movie? The Emerald Stone thing.
Romancing the Stone.
It's a cross between Romancing Stone and National Treasure. There you go.
Yep.
That's what it feels like tonal and like thematically.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I don't think it's a fantastic film. I think, but you know, it's long. I think was the main complaint we had. I think it just goes on a bit too long. But if you're a fan of Pirates of the Caribbean, this is just Pirates of the Caribbean, but in a river. So
They're really limiting themselves
Yeah.
down to a river from the
No,
giant
yeah.
ocean. But yeah.
you know, but you know what they say: limiting yourself helps with creativity, occasionally. So yeah, check it out. Jungle Cruise, obviously in the cinemas and on Disney Premier Access. The big release from this past week, The Suicide Squad. Dylan, you got a review up on ExplosionNetwork.com. You gave it an 8. Do you want to elaborate on your feelings about The Suicide Squad? The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. It's really good. It's pretty much everything I would have wanted from the movie. I think it kind of. I'm kind of nitpicking when I get to negatives. I think it has like a little bit in the middle where it feels like it starts really sort of like, wow, this is so different, and then I guess the middle part just sort of feels like somewhat formulaic at times, but you're still enjoying it because the characters, and the ending's sort of crazy, but still feels like the ending of a typical superhero movie to a degree or whatever else. So it just like mixes and matches between the typical stuff. But I think it's really good that James Gunn. The one thing I was afraid of is watching it, and I just feel like it's just James Gunn doing just like molding what he did for Guardians to the Suicide Squad, which, you know, there was always a chance it could come across that sort of way. There's some plot elements and like character relationships that I feel, I particularly pointed out relationship between Idris Elba's Bloodsport and, what's the fucking name?
Ratcatcher 2.
Yeah, Ratcatcher 2. Daniela Melkor. Ratcatcher 2. They have like, a relationship that they build that's like this sort of like father figure dynamic thing or whatever that reminded me of something they do in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 to a degree. That felt like him like doing it again, but better, and it actually works in this movie, whereas I don't really like Guardians 2, so that's a thing. It's really violent. I think the opening act could turn some people off just because of how violent it is. Like it's sort of really in your face. Which I appreciated. I guess that's like James Gunn sort of coming back to his horror part. Other things, of course, is that I hated Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn in the original Suicide Squad movie, and I only actually came around as her playing that part in Birds of Prey. this feels like a nice, even sort of step back where, much like she is in the comic books of the Suicide Squad, she's not the star. She's never the lead of that team. She's always sort of the side character in the Suicide Squad mostly. And that's what she feels like here to a degree. She's not the main character. She's like that, I guess, second tier of characters. Not that, I wouldn't say she's in the A tier. She's not like one of the key most important people. Well, she is. She's like top 5, obviously, but not, I don't think she's like.
She's got a C arc.
Yeah, for sure. Which is good. And I definitely enjoyed her more in this. It doesn't feel like her Birds of Prey Harley, but it doesn't feel like it's not connected or couldn't be the same character. It just feels like this is a movie that's not actually about her or those characters, and so there's not too much focus given to that. Idris Elba's really good in this. I think that Bloodsport's basically doing Deadshot again to a degree, his character and stuff, like the first movie. Like there's a similar sort of thing there about his child, similar to Deadshot having a thing for his child and all this sort of thing. But Idris Elba's like way more likable, and you buy into his dynamic, and you actually really want to spend another movie with him by the time you reach the end. Whereas I didn't give two shit about Will Smith coming back personally. John Cena's having a fucking bowl. He's just having the best time of his life, I swear. Joel Kinnaman is so much better in this movie. You actually really like him in this role in this movie. He doesn't just come across as this stereotypical army dude bro that's just douchey. He comes across as someone who actually has feelings and, like actually wants to do good in the world. And he's actually quite charming in this. I mean, there's a whole Viola Davis is, of course, just still a bitch, but that's kind of the role of Amanda Waller that she's playing, but she does it so well. Bunch of the side characters really good. There's so many people in this movie, it's hard to mention everyone. But yeah, my favorite character is actually Ratcatcher 2. I think that Daniela Melchior, I'm not sure how I'm pronouncing her name. I think she's going to be the blow up for this movie, or at least maybe not critically, or maybe not with main audience, because I feel like the main audience thing is everyone's going to love King Shark. That's going to be the walkway. That's going to be the character everyone laughs at the most, because King Shark stuff is very funny. Sylvester Stallone doing that voice just works so well. But if I was to pick like an actor that's sort of going to blow up out of this one, it has to be her, because I just thought she was so good, so charming, so lovable, and like sort of the heart of the movie. And then also David Dastmalchian, or however you say his name, Polka Dot Man, surprisingly is also one of the best characters and actors in the movie. I thought he has some like really good parts, and James Gunn somehow manages to make Polka Dot Man a likable, interesting character to a degree. But it's a ridiculous movie, but it's both. It proves that you can do these DC movies where they are both very violent, very dark at times, but also just ridiculous and silly, and knows how to laugh as itself. And like, I don't know, I thought it was really, really good. I'd happily go watch it again. I just enjoyable. 2 and a bit hours, whatever, just flew by. I was totally into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed it as well. Like you said, very violent, very funny at times, but with just enough heart. I think there's like a couple of pacing problems, like everybody, the feeling that they need to cover everybody's kind of backstories at least a little bit, I felt like was kind of forced at points. But they deliver on the Suicide Squad, like being suicide-ish, with a couple of violent deaths to members of the squad. Not everybody survives. And I really like that they just jump straight in. They just, it feels like you're starting a brand new run of a comic book rather than feeling you're just coming off the last film,
I don't think it's a spoiler to say, but I just love at the start how they're just like getting in the plane and Captain Boomerang's there, and then Harley shows up, and obviously she's just got captured or whatever, and she's like, "Hey, Boomer!" It's like, "Harley, what are you doing back here?" Oh, like I got caught again, or something like that.
Yeah, so just the implication is obviously this Task Force X has been going on for a while, since the 2016 film, and that's cool. Just all the pieces kind of went together perfectly. It was a lot of fun, cool sequences, lots of interesting characters, even though some we didn't get enough time with and that kind of thing. Like you said, I enjoyed Margot Robbie here. She's definitely it's not Birds of Prey, but, it's still a better iteration of Harley Quinn than Suicide Squad.
She doesn't have ridiculous outfits. Her character isn't just played for teen pornography reasons. It's like she's just it's like such an improvement of having just rewatched the original Suicide Squad.
Yeah. And there's a few moments to shine, and like there's some cool action sequences in this as well. And that kind of stuff, and somehow they managed to pull off the concept of Starro the Conqueror in this movie. A ridiculous idea.
I was also going to say, I was really impressed with the CGI in this movie. Like, I thought the end, without spoiling it, like what they're doing in the end, there's times where I was like looking at the detail and stuff of the CGI, and I was like, going, this is pretty fucking good. Like, this looks pretty good for how ridiculous that thing is and how your brain should be like not computing what you're looking at kind of thing, but it looks really good, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And King Shark.
And King Shark, I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Ratcatcher's rat.
Sebastian.
Sebastian, also, given the award there. All the CGI was good, yeah.
All the CGI was great, yeah. King Shark stole scenes, Hand, Peacemaker.
Hand. You wouldn't need a friend.
No friends.
No friends.
Yeah, so it's pretty fantastic. So yeah, if you can safely see the Suicide Squad in cinemas, go see it. Pay money for it. Do it legally. Shout outs to people who did. Dylan, you reviewed a new film that's just come to Shudder, Jacob's Wife.
Oh yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun. This is I gave it 7 reviews on the website, of course. It's stars Barbara Compton and Larry Fessenden, who are like two sort of like horror icons for people who care about horror. I'm sure you don't know who the hell they are, but this is a movie in which the basic plot is that Larry plays a pastor who's Jacob, and then Barbara plays his wife. And early in the movie, they sort of imply this whole thing where like she's just the sort of background wife. People come to her husband because he's a pastor and like, hey, can I have your opinion? And it starts with a scene where someone that starts like asking for this with their daughter or whatever, help with their daughter. And she goes to say something and everyone sort of like cuts her off or, doesn't really want to hear her opinion. They want the pastor's opinion because he's got the word of God and all that sort of thing. So, and then early in the movie, she meets up with an old fling from high school who she's like working on a business deal with or whatever. And then they sort of sneak away into this warehouse that they were talking about buying out or whatever. She starts making out with him. It's like, oh no, what is going to happen here? The poor thing. Anyway, lo and behold, a vampire jumps out, attacks everyone as they do. They do. So she gets bitten and then she heads home. And then from there, you've got this thing in the movie where, of course, she's now a vampire and her husband's a pastor, and how she's like sort of hiding this or not even really trying to hide this. And the movie has a very obvious sort of, it's very not so, very obvious, open sort of, I guess, feminism undertone of like, overcoming oppressiveness and stuff like that. And that's sort of like her getting this, becoming a vampire gives her the will or whatever to push past. So it starts very simple and it's sort of ridiculously on the nose, but like the morning after she wakes up from being a vampire, Jacob wakes up, rolls over, comes downstairs and is like, oh, where's breakfast? And she's just like doing like exercises or something on a treadmill bike. And she's like, do you feel like making it for you today? Or something like that. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll just not eat then, like the whole like, so it starts simple. It's very on the nose of just like, so I'm not giving a fuck anymore. And eventually we do get the kills, of course, because there's a horror movie and a vampire movie and vampires need to feed. And the kills are very exciting because they're not gross out, yucky vampire kills. They're, oh, you got bit in the neck. Here's about 20 fucking liters of blood that spurts out of your neck. It's like that really over the top vampire blood kills, which are quite fun. And they don't really do anymore because it just is almost silly, but it was quite fun. The performances are really, really good though. That's sort of what holds the film together. I thought both Barbara and Larry give these really good performances. They really sell the movie and its topics, and you can tell they're having a lot of fun as well. So yeah, check it out on Shudder. I quite enjoyed it.
Cool.
And CM Punk's in it for you WWE fans. He plays like a sheriff's deputy or whatever, and it's quite. He has like a silly haircut and whatever else. It's quite fun.
Also on Shudder, you checked out the first couple of episodes of Slasher: Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, I should have a review. Oh no, that will be out by the time this. No, yeah, they should be out by the time the review should be up for both these by the time they're up. So I haven't watched this show before. It's an anthology series, so it doesn't really matter. But it's jumped around over the years, which is the weird thing. Like it started on some channel or whatever, like didn't have that much money, and then it moved over to Netflix, and now it's moved over to Shudder, and that's where they're doing the latest one. But the core concept for the show is anthology series where each one's about a different slasher killer, you know, like a typical 80s horror movie slasher. The latest season, I've got to watch the first 2 episodes because it has a 2-episode like opening, and then it's week by week from now on or whatever. It's every character sucks, and I can't wait for them all to die. But it's basically like Knives Out, but a horror movie to a degree, because it's this family who are called to like their rich island that they own or whatever, and they're really rich. And David Cronenberg, the horror legend, icon, director, writer himself, plays the leader of the family. And he invites them all down and is like, oh, we're going to play like a game to figure out who like gets my money when I die and all this sort of stuff. And that's kind of weird on its own. And then, of course, there's a killer on the island. Where did the killer come from? And the kills start really fast. But much like watching Knives Out, you quickly realize that basically all the characters suck. They're all rich, spoiled pricks. There's like 1 or 2 who I'm hoping will survive and presuming they'll survive, because I'm like, if anyone else survives of these people, they all suck. So I'm quite happy. But it also means it's a horror thing I'm watching where, and at the end of the second episode had a really fucked up kill that was actually more gruesome than anything I saw in the last Saw movie, like to add comparison to. I was like, you know what, that's given for it's a streaming show and it doesn't have that big of a budget. I mean, it wasn't highly inventive. I've seen the same sort of kill done a couple times, but I mean, it's one of those ones that if you shoot it right and you know, people are screaming in pain and it's happening, I'm like, that's fucked up. But so you sold that well. But acting at times is kind of corny. I think it's done on purpose. And the editing also with the music gives me like at times midday drama. What do you call those sorts of shows? You know, like the midday melodrama type things.
Daytime
you know,
soap.
it gives like the editing and the music and the way it sort of like fades in and the camera angles and at times. I'm like, it's got this daytime soap thing happening to it, which I find a bit weird. But the acting I can look past at times because I kind of feel like it's done on purpose just to play into like sort of B movie-ish type thing and the dialogue or whatever. And it kind of works for what it is. But yeah, I'm keen to see how it goes and hopefully watch the rest of these people die. It's only 8 episodes, so we're already 2 episodes down by the time it comes out, which is I think it starts next week, or no, does it start later this week? I can't remember. I think it starts this Friday.
Yeah, I think it comes out this Friday.
Yeah. So yeah, that's for horror fans. Yeah, it's different to like American Horror Story because it's focused on actual like straight up just, you know, slasher killer compared to American Horror Story is usually like more like weird, just thriller, like weird off-putting weird things or whatever.
Cool. So currently the Melbourne International Film Festival is going on, kind of, as far as I can tell. You know, as much as you can with lockdown. But there is currently Melbourne International Film Festival Play or MIF Play currently available to watch a lot of the a selection of films online. Dylan, you've watched a couple of the ones that are available at the moment. We'll start off with The Hill Where Lionesses Roar.
Yeah, so quickly, MIF Online will run until I think the 22nd. They're still trying to do the normal Melbourne International Film Festival. They delayed it because of COVID, and then they're still trying to do it properly in Melbourne where you can watch things like Pig in theaters, which of course I'm jealous about. If they want to let me stream
Pig, Annette,
yeah,
there's a bunch of different pretty big named films.
I'll happily pay to stream them if COVID continues. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if they're allowed to. No.
I don't know if they are.
There's like a certain number of online tickets they can sell, I believe.
But yeah, even all the ones I've paid to watch is, you know, it says they all say like limited. They don't tell you how many tickets. Maybe they're not legally out there. I don't know. Anyway, The Hill Where the Lionesses Roar. So directed by Luna Bajrami, I think that's how you say her name. Who was she was one of the co-stars in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. She played like the handmaid, I guess is what it was. She was like basically the third main character in it. She's not the 2 main girls, but the handmaid who they, or whatever they want to call it, that work there, that want to spend a lot of time with. She was real popular when that movie came out though, because I think she won like whatever Cannes or Palm, whichever one. She won like one of those like best upcoming young actress, or like from the whole film festival or whatever. So she's like only 20s, I don't know, she's like young, 22, 23, I think, something like that. So she's young. But given that age or whatever, she's like, no, fuck it, I'll try writing and directing as well. And now we have this movie. I'm like, go girl. So the plot is, it's a French film. I don't think it's in French. It's in Albanian, right? It's in Albanian. So yeah, but it is a French film because she's French or whatever. But it's about these 3 girls, young adults, late teens. I don't know when. I think they're supposed to be like maybe somewhere between 18, 20 or something like that, possibly. But they're in this like small town, but fuck town. They all sort of have their own problems and things happening in their lives. My only complaint, one of my key complaints about this movie, and I kind of get why it happened, is there's often sort of things like thrown at you, like plot threads, and we never go back to them. And I think it's sort of done on purpose because it's supposed to be like give you the sort of vibe of like what's happening in these girls' lives without ever the fact they don't really talk about it to one another or anything else. Like they have a scene with one of the girls who, when she's like trying to leave her house early in the movie, and her uncle like grabs her and is like, "You want to give your uncle a kiss?" and all this, like very heavily implying that her uncle's like the creepy fucker, this sort of thing. And we find out later that her whole family is dead, so she's living with just her uncle, and he's been creepy as fuck. But we never come back to it. So look at these things. They want to escape town. They want to go to college or university or whatever it is called. They want to study. Their family doesn't have the money. Their families aren't really supporting them in that endeavor. Like one of the other girls, when she's complaining to her mother's just like, like your father's profit, like you can just work at the salon, the hair salon. Like this whole thing of like, that's what, you're a lady, so how about you just do this? You don't need to go study and become anything more. That's kind of, they're fighting against the sort of what's been laid out for them in life, I guess. And early on in the movie, you see them like sort of hints that they are earning money on the side somehow, and you don't really know what it is. And I'm not going to spoil it all in case people decide to watch, because it's quite enjoyable. I did enjoy it. But they're doing some sort of criminal activity to get money, and that sort of ramps up, and you get to learn more as the plot goes on. The sole purpose of this is they are trying to save money so they can pay for themselves to get a better education and do something larger in life. But the movie, for the most part, is just sort of following them on their day-to-day lives. There are a couple things that happen, like one of them gets a boyfriend, one of them... there's a whole thing where Luna Bajrami, whose name I'm probably slaughtering, she plays like a young girl at some stage in the movie who's like a French, she's like on holiday at like her family's home or whatever from France there or whatever. And one of the girls sort of has like a will they won't they fling with her, like flirtation thing happening. So there is like some romance stuff happening, but there's not like the super evident plot of it. It is mostly just about these girls' lives and stuff, but it's shot really well. The acting's all really great. And I guess it's one of those things where you watch it, and because it's set in a part of the world I don't really watch movies in often, you do get that whole sort of, you feel like you're exploring and you going on well, not really a holiday, but like if a movie transports you to somewhere that you don't usually see because you mostly watch American movies or whatever. So that's really good. Yeah, I rate it. I'd probably give it somewhere between a 7.5 to an 8. Yeah, somewhere around there. If I thought harder about it, I'd decide. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Then you checked out local-ish film, Coming Home in the Dark.
This one was really good too. I'll spoil it now. I haven't disliked any of these 3 movies I've watched so far.
Okay, good to know.
Coming Home in the Dark is a New Zealand film. New Zealand, it says horror thriller in the genre thing, but it's basically just a thriller. There's not much horrific. There's just mostly just the thrill of what's happening. So, Daniel Gillies, who is most famous for being in that Vampire Diaries originals thing or whatever the hell it was. He and I can't find the other actor's name. Matthias Lefutu. They basically rock up on this family who are out having a picnic one day. The father's played by Eric Thompson. Who I was watching this, I'm going, I know this guy from somewhere. And I IMDb'd him after. I'm like, oh, it's the dad from Pack to the Rafters. Right, shout outs. And by the way, they're doing another season of that, or another.
Yeah.
They're doing back to the Rafters.
They're meant to. Yeah. No.
They paused filming because of COVID in New South Wales. Is what they.
Yeah.
I did some
It's
post
going to be an
research.
Amazon Prime film series.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Yeah, so he's the main character. He plays the father, and then Marami McDowell plays the mother, and you've got these two kids. Basically, these two dudes rock up while they're having a nice family getaway, and they're like, the movie is just about them sort of. I want to say kidnapping because it's not like they tie them up and chuck them in the boot and whatever. There is just like they sort of sit them in the car and like we're going somewhere. And as the movie progresses, you learn more about them and the family and what's going on. And is there a reason to what they're doing? Who really knows? It's sort of a meld between it at times. And as I tweeted, it feels like a really redundant way to explain it because it's not really. But it's a good way to sort of sell it, I guess, for people who may be interested, is it at times felt like I was watching New Zealand's Wolf Creek, but at other times it felt like I was watching New Zealand's Funny Games, which is that, was it originally? I think it was originally Swedish or somewhere like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then he remade it in American. He remade his own film for American audiences in English as well. But it's the exact same movie. So it feels like a combination of those two because you're like, why are these people doing what they're doing? And you don't really have an idea. And then at times it feels like you're watching Wolf Creek, especially the first like 20 minutes when just a lot of monologuing from the bad guys as they're going on. Daniel Gillies or Gillies? Gillies. I think it's got an I there. He's really, really good in this. He's like super like that thing where he's evil, but you enjoy watching him in the movie because he's so good on screen and like sort of captivating. My only complaint is I feel it's 90 minutes. I feel like it could have got a way of cutting, just tightening it up, getting it maybe into that like 1 hour 20-ish range or something like that. Now I feel like the film sometimes even that 10 minutes can make a big difference, tightening up some scenes and stuff like that. Could have made a difference, but otherwise it's shot really well. The acting is really great from everyone in it and everything else. Obviously you have that sort of beautiful New Zealand scenery and that sort of stuff and takes a dark angle on it it's mostly set at nighttime and stuff. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever watched a horror movie from New Zealand, to be honest, but or maybe I have. Oh yeah, I have watched like Black Sheep and shit. I think
I was about to say,
yeah, but that's like horror comedy. I don't know if I've watched a full on.
That's not a horror film. It's a romance cinema.
Yeah.
New Zealand. Nothing straight up horror from New Zealand.
No, I don't think
they're
so,
also nice over there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so the last one you watched was one that's been on my radar for a while. I almost drove all the way down to the Gold Coast to watch it when I was at the Gold Coast Film Festival last year. Or earlier this year, I think. That sounds right. So it's called Freshman Year here in Australia, but in America it's known as Shithouse.
Yeah. Freshman Year is a way better title. Shithouse is a terrible title for this movie. I think Shithouse implies it's like super bad or something like that, which is not what this is like. And I feel like it's just it'll do a bad job at marketing this movie and giving you an idea of what it's about. So you obviously know what it's about, but if people don't. Mm-hmm. Written, directed, and stars Cooper Rafe. Co-stars Dylan Gila. It's basically it's a weird 2-part movie. So it starts, you're introduced to the character Cooper plays, which is this character named Alex, who's freshman and he's sort of having a tough time. Like he's struggling to make friends. He's, struggling to connect with people. He's missing his family because it's, I can't remember, like they're in Texas or something and he's over, like basically the complete opposite side of America or some shit like that. Like, so it's a flight away to get home. So he's having a tough time, obviously. And then he goes to this party one night and he meets this girl, Maggie. And the main part of the movie, the main chunk of the movie is just that night. It's like, or at least the first half is that night. And it does very much feel like it's inspired by Linklater films, especially the Before films. Because it is literally just two characters, these two people, wandering around, talking about stuff that doesn't really matter, having just conversations. I don't think it's a spoiler to say why they're wandering around, because it's like from the first 10, 15 minutes movie, whatever. But like originally they're wandering around because they like begin talking, and then she's like, "Oh, my turtle died," and he's like, "Well, what'd you do with it?" And she's like, "Well, I chucked it in the bin." And he's like, "Oh my god, why did you do that? We should totally bury it." So then they're suddenly like go on this adventure to find her turtle, which is in a rubbish bin somewhere. And then the idea is that they'll take it to like the toppest part of the campus or something, and they'll bury it there. It's like the core sort of set up as to why they're walking around and what they're doing. So that's the best part of the movie. Like, I love that. That was great. Them just talking about nonsense. Sometimes they stop and they talk to other characters. They're well-written characters because at times I'm like, you're kind of being a dick here saying that thing. Or like, there's times where it's purposely written so it's like there's no one's really right, especially the couple times they get into pseudo-arguments where you can tell, oh, there's a bit of like clashing over here over a certain subject or something like that. Or the way someone responds at times, like, I wish I could spoil one thing they say, but I won't. But there's one time where just like the way he reacts to what she says at the time, I'm like, oof. But it's really, really good. And they have like the actors are both really great and they're back and forth in this whole thing. I want to say it goes downhill after them, but I just want to say like that was such a high and I enjoyed that part so much. Even if it's so obviously ripping off Linklater that it doesn't really matter because it's, I mean, it just feels like obviously his movies, but it's not because it's completely different, but it's just that type of thing he would do. But after that, second part of the movie is more typical, I guess, to a degree. Like it suddenly is like, just feels like a normal sort of high school, college, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, college movie thing there where there's stuff happening in days past and stuff like that. And that part I was like, oh no, you kind of nailed it the first time. And to a degree, again, without spoiling like the direction the movie goes, I'm kind of like, I don't know, I would have been happy just for that you spend much like before sunset or before sunrise. It's like, just give me the night. And do I need to know what happens in the future? Maybe not. But this is a movie that decides we'll find out what happens in the future. You know, like that sort of thing. I'm like, oh no, I feel like you kind of ruined it doing that to a degree, but it's still really good. I just think it could have been a little bit better. That's it. Like I would probably still give it like an 8, but I feel like if it had nailed that core concept and just committed to not ripping off, but just being inspired by Linklater, it probably could have been like a 9 or something. If it just committed and nailed the script for the entirety of the movie and like hit a really good ending on that sort of thing and just committed to that concept. But yeah, the acting's really good and whatever else, and it's funny and charming and sad at times and all those sorts of things. So yeah, I mean, I was 100% watching it, and by the time I finished, I'm like, this is an Ash film, so I don't know why. I was like, this is totally a movie you'll be watching.
Yeah, okay, so probably watch this sometime this week. So yeah, any other ones from Myth you're definitely wanting to check out or Myth Play?
I have
specifically?
I have a short list. The thing is, like, time and like, do I want to keep spending money on these? To a degree, I don't mind spending money because it is like.
I mean, really, you're helping keep the Melbourne International Film Festival afloat.
Yeah, no, like I don't feel like I'm spending money on like a bad thing. But for people that don't know, basically every ticket's $14. So those 3 movies I brought cost $14 each. Yeah, and they were all good, so I don't like regret spending money. And as I said, it's supporting both the Melbourne cinemas and Myth. Plus also those indie movies and stuff. So I don't feel like bad, but it's just like money. I have a short list here of stuff. Oh, where'd I have it? Oh no, I've lost it. Maybe. No, I lost it. Anyway, you can, if you go on play.myth.com.au, you can star or whatever you want to call it, like add stuff to your favorites that you may want to watch later. But there's a few other things here, like just quickly going over what's here. All Light Everywhere. Sisters Wear Transistors, which is basically about like women that did like electronic music, including like the person who did the Doctor Who theme, like a documentary about like how we don't really talk about those sorts of people. There's a movie called Ballad of a White Cow, which sounds really interesting. I've seen some people talking about that one, which is basically about I can't remember where the fuck it's set actually. Where is it set? It's Iranian. A year after execution of her husband, factory worker Mina is informed that her posthumously been found innocent of all charges. Blah, blah, blah. So it's about this woman trying to find justice for her husband's death, like after the fact that he passed away and stuff like that. And there's a few other ones on. I mean, I think on my list I had like maybe 5 or 10. There's also the Closing Night film, which I really want to watch. That's like totally up my alley, which is
Language Lessons by
Language Lessons, which is by Mark Duplass and Natalie Morales. Apparently, did really well at South by Southwest, but it was all shot in COVID times or whatever else. But I mean, basically anything that Mark Duplass does that's a really weird indie movie, I'm usually totally all into it, and just the way into anything he makes. So yeah, I feel like that's one.
Well, she's the director, so
yeah, but like they wrote
he's
it together
involved.
for it. No, is it just her?
Yeah.
I thought they both wrote it.
No, yeah, they're dual screenwriters.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's probably one. That's one. As long as I can watch it, because I know that's on like closing night and I have to pay to watch it.
Yeah, there's like an 8-hour viewing window, $21. Yeah.
Yeah, it's $21. But I totally will for that because yeah, that's complete wrong. But there's a few over here. I mean, you can go by country, you can go by drama, comedy, you know, that sort of thing. There's a few Mad Men films, Mad Men produced films, or I think they've got like 5 on here that are they'll be out here. There's like another one, I can't remember what the fuck it's called, about 2 that they're putting out as well. But yeah, there's an Australian one on here I want to watch actually. It's only I can't remember. I was trying to find it, but it's only like just over an hour, I think actually. Where can I go to fucking? Oh yeah, Origin. Hold on, I'll find out what it is. I gotta shout out the Australian one. It's called Dry Winter. Here we go. Dry Winter. It goes for an hour 2 minutes. So I was like, fuck, that's short. But it just says a hypnotic portrait of young couples surviving life in an off the beaten track, opportunity-starved outback town. So it just sounds like a movie just about people. I don't know. It probably doesn't really have a point, but I'm totally into it. It says, drought has made life tough in town. Jake Kelly must each decide what to do next, and whether they must move on. Blah, 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 blah. There you go. Myth Player. It's good. They should keep doing it every year because they started it last year because of COVID. And I watched a couple then or whatever. I watched CGI's Tomorrow, which I really liked then. I've watched the 3 this year so far, and I've really enjoyed all those. So the only thing I would complain about is I'm like, for people who do want to watch several of these, why can't I can't I spend like $100 and get like several passes for like a cheaper rate or something? You know what I mean? Like a pass that gives you 5 movies for less than you'd pay for, like a package deal or something. But yeah, it's my only complaint about Myth Play.
Yeah. So I guess we'll talk about some more of those films next episode. So yesterday I sat down, watched the first episode of Hacks, the new comedy series starring James Smart. That's about a aging comedian and Las Vegas comedian teams up with a young Gen Z comedy writer who can't get any work in LA because she's been cancelled over an insensitive tweet, and their kind of weird collaboration and also abrasiveness. So started episode 1. I watched all 10 episodes. Obviously this is Emmy nominated, so it is good. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Jean Smart, like, she's pretty much anything she's in lately, fantastic. Like, she's got great. I know she's great in it, but she's also clearly got good taste in roles at the moment. Obviously very influenced by Joan Roberts. I think that's who it is.
I don't know the person. I watched the trailer for the first time the other night, and I was like, I don't know who this person is.
Who's the
girl? The other person.
No, I'm trying to think of the comedian who it's very much.
Oh, Joan Roberts.
Is it Joan Roberts?
I think so.
Sorry, it's gonna annoy me. Joan Rivers. There we go.
Oh.
Good thing I checked. Otherwise, it'd be very stupid. Feels like very much like Joan Rivers. Maybe not as mean, like to people. Like in general, like her comedy when she's on stage is like very self-deprecating and that kind of stuff. But she's not a very nice person in general. Neither of the leads are like very nice people for the most part. I feel like it's their progression over the season. They kind of eases you into them and kind of warms you up to them and that kind of stuff. But I feel a lot of shows are like that, very dislikable characters that you come to love over a course of a season. And yeah, just the scale of it all, like it's obviously shot in Las Vegas, set in like casino, like the production value is really good. There is an episode where they do like full on, like one of the tasks that the writer Ava's given is to digitize her entire back catalog of content. Like she's videotaped every little thing she's done. So like she's looking at old footage of Jean Smart that obviously they've de-aged. It looks quite good. I think it's quite impressive. But yeah, there's a lot of things they touch on. Like obviously the age gap between them. Obviously a woman working in the comedian industry and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think everybody should check it out, and I see why it's up for so many Emmy Awards. If it wasn't out this year and up against Ted Lasso, it would probably be my favorite frontrunner for
Big
best
words.
comedy. So, yeah, Hacks available on Stan now, all 10 episodes. So you too can just spend your entire Sunday watching all that. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Another show I binge watched. Actually, there's another 2 shows I binge watched here. So I watched season 2 of Outer Banks. So I reviewed Outer Banks last year. I think I gave it like a 6 or something. Outer Banks is, I'm realizing now, is like a more condensed version of Riverdale. And I appreciate that because it's half as long and much easier to get through. But yeah, it's very much that teen drama, kind of recurring themes. Outer Banks obviously set in, I want to say, South Louisiana, along a beachfront. There's definitely this class structure thing between the Kooks, who are like the rich part of town, and the Pogues, who are on the more working class part of town. So last season, we left off with John B. and Sarah being stuck in the middle of the ocean. Surprisingly, as survived. So they have this interesting detour down into Barbados for a couple episodes. Because the big thing about the first season, was they were trying to get this buried treasure that eventually got found and got taken away to another country, so that because things. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I think it's not the most fantastic high quality stuff, but it is just enjoyable, and the young cast is quite good. It's just it just scratches that same itch as like a silly show like Riverdale does. Weird teen drama, except it's treasure hunts instead of murders that they're trying to solve all the time. So it's good. Then I watched season 3 of Car Masters Rust to Riches, which I've talked about here before as well, about these car restorers. Again, the thing that I appreciate about this is that the episodes flow into each other. It's not like a lot of these other reality shows that like each episode is very standalone, and you could just watch them in any order and it wouldn't really matter. But this one definitely feels like there's a story there's a season arc that definitely takes place, and of course their operations are kind of influenced by COVID, so that's quite interesting, because obviously they must have shot this, I'll say March, April last year. So it kind of throws this massive spanner in the works. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. And then I watched Vivo. So this is the latest film. It's done by Sony Animation Studios, starring Lin-Manuel Miranda, with music done by Lin-Manuel Miranda, in which he plays a Chinkaju, which is like a tiny monkey thing, who's came out of the jungle and has come to live with this elderly musician, who he's lived with for several years. Just as he's the guy he lives with finds out that his one true love that he let leave Cuba in their younger years is about to retire and is looking to seek him out one last time. So then Vivo, the monkey, played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, is tasked with taking this song to that he wrote for her in his youth to his love for
Is this on
reasons.
Netflix? Or
This is on Netflix. Yeah, it's a perfectly fine, story. Some of the music's quite good. I think the standout is this young girl Gabby, played by newcomer Yunali Simo, who just has a lot of personality. Kind of makes it shine a little bit. But yeah, it opens really strong, lags a lot in the middle, and kind of uptick towards the end. So yeah, it's on the lower scale of the animated films I've watched this year, but I don't know. I feel like this was meant to be in theaters and was part of that Sony, much in the way the Mitchells and the Machines was meant to be in theaters.
was it?
Yeah, that one got delayed like a couple of times, but it was meant to be out in theaters. Have you even watched that yet?
No.
Bloody hell. If you
paying all this money for myth films instead of just watching something I
watching on Netflix, yeah. Yeah. So if you're a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan, you'll enjoy some of the music here, and because the opening song is very Lin-Manuel Miranda. Of course, helped by the fact that he's singing the song as well. But yeah, a good time. I think the kids will like it and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. The middle lagged and kind of lost me. All right. That's kind of all the stuff we've been watching. Let's move into some film news. The biggest story, headline, Scarlett Johansson suing Disney. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles against Disney in which she alleged that the media company breached her contract by releasing the film day and date in theaters and on Disney Plus streaming service. According to the lawsuit, her agreement with Disney-owned Marvel Entertainment guaranteed a theatrical release, with her salary based largely on how the movie did at the box office. The suit states Disney intentionally induced Marvel's breach of the agreement without justification in order to prevent Ms. Johansson's from realizing the full benefit of her bargain with Marvel. So a lot of stuff has obviously come out after this. Obviously, the film grossed $318 million. I believe they said they've paid her out $20 million or something. But there's a lot that's happened since. Mostly, the most other key thing is Walt Disney came out with their own statement in which they said, there is no merit whatsoever in this filing. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disney was fully complied with Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. Dylan, what were your initial impressions of the story, and how do you feel as kind of the war of words is kind of broken out?
I think I'm going to give a response that people may not expect from me, which is that I do think that if she had a contract for said money, then she should get paid. Because I think the thing that everyone likes to do for this story, or that I've seen people do, is, you've only got paid X amount of $1 million, why do you need more? Which, I mean, ultimately, I do agree to a point. I'm like, just fucking, like, once you're several millionaires, like, what's a couple more million? But, I mean, I think it does boil down to, it doesn't really matter what the money is. It could be $20 million, it could be $50,000, it could be $20. It's all about just, like, it's, if they can fuck over Scarlett, they imagine what, like, they can fuck over people on $5 an hour.
It doesn't matter on what scale it is. It's it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I totally get why people are like, it's millions of dollars. Who fucking cares? Like, you already have all the money. But I'm like, yeah, but if she can get fucked over by them else, then imagine all the other people who are earning way less getting fucked over in different parts. Like, the buck has to stop somewhere, as they say, or whatever. So I think if she's owed money, then, which by the sounds of it, she does, it would be owed money, because this is the first time we've heard about, or at least someone standing up for, because most of the time actors do have these deals, of course. That's why they get money for tickets, or most big time actors have deals in their contracts where they'll make more money off cinema tickets or DVD sales, like whatever they work out in their contract.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
yeah, a lot of smaller actors or smaller films, obviously you won't have these sorts of deals, but for bigger ones you would. And yeah, totally. There's no way for them to track or even account for the Disney premiere sales to even like sort of like track that to cinema tickets and where's that equate for her to get paid out and so on and so forth. This is 100% a thing that probably wouldn't have happened if she was still working in Marvel films, because I don't know if she would have even bothered going through this and risked her working relationship. I don't know. Like, this seems like something she's very happy to do because she doesn't work there anymore. But yeah, I mean, go get that money, I guess. Go, girl.
Yeah, obviously it's a big story, and like, obviously, yeah, it's hard to feel like, to a certain degree, it's hard to like be on the side of the actor earning millions of dollars, but then you also don't want to be on the side of the massive corporations that's made millions of dollars. You know, like as she states, like the box office of the movie dropped significantly, but yet the stock prices of Disney raised up so much because everybody was going to Disney Plus to watch the film and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, you know, they had the opportunity in the 18 months in which the film was delayed to renegotiate that contract. Like they could have come to it and said, "Hey, we're going to be putting on Disney Plus. We'll, instead of back end deal, we'll give you $5 million right now."
Mm.
And none of this everything would have been sorted. Nothing would have happened. But now there's this big kind of weird slagging match in the media where after those remarks by Disney, a lot of other unions, mostly like SAG and that kind of stuff, have come out and kind of said it's pretty shitty of them to come out and say these kind of things, kind of implying she's putting like kind of putting word, changing the way she's saying her things, even saying what's it? Someone from the CAA said they have shamelessly and falsely accused Ms. Johansson of being insensitive to the global pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone they and I know she isn't. I want to address Disney. Scarlett has been Disney's partner for 9 films, which has earned Disney and its shareholders billions. The company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman, as if there was something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett Johansson is extremely proud of the work she and all of the actors, writers, directors, and producers at Marvel creative team have been part of for well over a decade. This suit was filed as a result of Disney's decision to knowingly violate Scarlett's contract. They have very deliberately moved the revenue stream and profits to the Disney Plus side of the company, leaving artistic and financial partners out of their equation. That's it, pure and simple. Disney's direct attack on her character and all else they implied is beneath the company and many of us in the creative community have worked with successfully for decades. So yeah. Not a great look for Disney, I think. Even though this is like a story that neither side looks great completely in. There's like no clear winner in this, I think.
Depends if you want to view her as like, her winning is far from the average Joe Schmo winning, but it's still, I guess, technically a win for workers' rights over corporations.
I think if it was any other actress, you would be fine. But obviously Scarlett Johansson has like a lot of baggage going into this.
It will
with
be
obviously the jokes.
It will be a big win, the first major win by an Asian actor in Hollywood to fight against Disney. You know,
so many jokes. But yeah, I think this will also potentially see a lot of change to people's contracts, like financially, how these deals are done. Like, obviously, streaming is the future, as much as we hate it to a certain degree. But how they need to figure out how people are going to get paid from that, because you know, people watch these films for millions of dollars, like thousands of times, you know, and how much do the people who worked on it get? Probably not a lot. So, interesting story. I assume this will never go to court. It'll just be settled out of court. But you know,
it'll 100% be settled out of court, and we'll read an article that says they settled out of court, and you'll never know how much it's for, or if she's happy, or if Disney banned her from ever working again. You know, we'll never know what the deal is.
I don't know, because I think I read somewhere else she had like some projects still with Disney.
Well, Kevin Feige,
Like producing.
Feige was sticking up for her or whatever. Feige. Kevin Feige
Yeah.
was sticking up for her, saying, "Oh, this is not on, Mickey. Bloody bastard. Don't make
Yeah,
me tell
absolutely.
Minnie on you."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't see anything quickly. Yeah, so that's an interesting story. We'll follow that one. Big news coming out of the BBC. Jodie Whittaker and showrunner Chris Chibnall will leave Doctor Who after a trio of specials in 2022. Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall will leave Doctor Who in a trio special, culminating in an epic blockbuster special to air in autumn 2022 as part of the BBC centenary celebrations. Having been in charge of the TARDIS since filming for the 13th Doctor began in 2017, showrunner Chris Chibnall and the 13th Doctor Jodie Whittaker have confirmed they will be moving on from the famous police box on Earth, the most famous police box on Earth and the universe, with a 6-part event serial announced for the autumn and 2 specials already planned for 2022. BBC One has now asked for an additional final feature-length adventure for the 13th Doctor to form a trio of specials for 2022 before the Doctor regenerates once more. I haven't watched the most recent season, but, you know, the first of her 3 series didn't love. Dylan, how are you feeling about this news?
I like Jodie as the Doctor. I think Chris Chibnall has dropped the ball on the series. I just don't think he could. I don't think he got really a good feel for what to be doing in Doctor Who or whatever. Because like, it's nothing against him as a writer or a showrunner, because he did Broadchurch, which is one of the best British drama things or whatever for the past 10 years or whenever it came out. And he's done a bunch of other stuff that's well received, like Cops, and he's wrote some good episodes for stuff every now and then, like I know random stuff, whatever else. So I it's really hard one. I just feel like he couldn't get it, or the pieces wouldn't come together, or there was just like I don't know. It's like, they've had some good ideas, but they haven't quite got there. Or like, for instance, season 11, right? The first season she was introduced. There were some good episodes in there, but it was just so hit and miss. There was just so all over the place. And of course, we did like that one season of Fish Fingers and Custard discussing that. And it would be like, oh yeah, this was like an alright episode. And this next one would be like, it was like pretty man. You know, next one was like, oh, this one was good. Next one was like, man, it's like just all over the place. And they had this commitment to going back to just doing one episode stories and like not a big overarching narrative or even 2-parters or anything. Like they, for some reason, they're like, no, we're just doing like a bunch of one episode stories. And it just felt very like, okay, sure, like I don't know, do whatever. Then they go to last season, the most recent one, which was better. It was better, but also a lot of it I can't even remember. Like I remember the opening 2 episodes. Spyfall was pretty good, but they had the Master come back in for that and whatever else. And you get to the end. I don't even know if it's a spoiler to spoil like most recent Doctor Who stuff at this stage, to be honest. Like if you've watched it, you watched it. You haven't fucking watched it, I guess. But like they get to the end of the season and they finally revealed the Timeless Child thing, which I'd been teasing for like the last 2 seasons, and that really pissed hardcore Doctor Who fans off. Something like, have you read about what this whole Timeless Child thing? So they basically imply that she is the Time Lord. She is the Timeless Child, and like all other Time Lords are like fucking, I don't even remember now, like some weird shit like clones or like created from her DNA or some shit. Like, so she is like, I don't know, the god of, or like I don't know, she's the Timeless Child. That was the whole thing. It was the Doctor. So, and that pissed people off, because then of course that has like huge ramifications for like Doctor Who's history and everything else like that. Revolution of the Daleks was pretty good. I was really happy with that one because John Barrowman was back playing Captain Jack, which is a character I love, but then it feels weird now because John Barrowman's been in trouble for fucking all this stuff about him fucking slapping his penis on people's besides while filming Doctor Who and all this other weird shit. So I don't even know how to feel about that stuff anymore. Anyone I like, anyone I know is just fucking, and I can't even complain. This isn't me being like, oh, fucking cancel God. Just me just being like, people constantly disappoint me in my life, you know? It's just fucking, why everyone just lets me down in one way or another. I mean, yeah, last season was fine. I really like Doctor Who, so I'd like to get back to the stage where I'm excited to watch it, not just like that last season where I watched it and I could barely remember fucking half the episodes. I can't even blame the rest of the cast. Like the TARDIS crew, like the Bradley Walsh is really good. He's like, I really grew into him. Mandip Gill, whatever. She's actually got a lot better. The person I least vibe with was Toz and Cole's character, Ryan as a character. That was the person I vibed with the least or whatever. Oh, fuck, I forgot. I was just looking for episodes to see who was guest stars. I forgot. They did an episode where James Buckley was in it, and that was really good because obviously he's from, what was that show called? In-Betweeners. So that was quite funny to watch him in Doctor Who. So I did enjoy that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm keen. I'll watch it. This feels like now ended David Tennant era where they're like, we're just going to do a bunch of weird spin-off things because they did that whole year where they just did like the Mars thing and then whatever else, and they kept having the Master Shop, and then it culminated in him, you know, regenerating and whatever else, but that's all they did for an entire year there, and it was kind of shit, to be honest, because it was just so drawn out, and it felt like 3 years before you got a new season, and then, I don't know, then we entered the Matt Smith era, which I know a lot of people, well, not a lot, there are fucking babies who hate that era because, oh, he's just too eccentric and I hate it and all this sort of shit, but I mean, as far as I know, at least for friends and everyone I had, like the Matt Smith era was like sort of the highlight, and that was the most like the era most people got into the most, other than the Tennant era, I guess. Well, you know, both sort of even. So
well, they kind of flew into each other. So I mean.
Yeah, so but I mean that's the height of like New Who or whatever you want to call it. So
well, that's not true. Season 1. So looking at the ratings, obviously the final season of Tennant rated the highest with 8.05 million viewers averaged over the episodes.
I want to go. Yeah. That was my impression of it. I don't want to go.
That's true. But the opening, the first season of 13 was 7.96. But then dropped off.
It would have been
season
huge. 2. Everyone would have been tuning in to watch that. I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. But series 2, 5.4, which is the lowest lowest average since the series has been revived. So, you know. But yeah, how are they rating these average viewers? Is it just people who are watching live, or is it?
I guess probably live. Maybe, yeah. Especially in like 2005, 2006, streaming wasn't a thing really. So
yeah, I mean, disappointed because I thought it would have been cool to see Jodie under a different showrunner, you know, a different voice. But I understand. Obviously, she's got a lot of history with Chris from Broadchurch and that kind of stuff. So. And every Doctor since 9 has only done the 3 series. And
they leave if their showrunner leaves.
That's true, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it made sense that, you know, now was the right time and that kind of stuff. So hopefully, you know, they go on to other stuff, you know, and obviously that kind of thing. They're on to bigger and better. Well, other things. Maybe not bigger and better, but, you know. I guess it's weird because we haven't had Doctor Who since the start of 2020.
It's so long ago.
And, you know, it's not going to come out till maybe sometime. Maybe it's the end of this year. Who knows at this point?
They still reckon it's the end of this year. I'll believe it when I see it. But
and obviously then you'll get the 3 specials in 2022. To kind of wrap things up. So yeah, I guess, you know.
Look out for fish fingers and custard.
Fish fingers and custard, things different. But Dylan, I figured this news story is here. Might as well mix things up this episode. Let's jump to our what do you want to watch? Top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
this episode's top three picks for the next Doctor. Dylan, who's your number 3?
So
What was your thought process?
I was trying to think. They had to be British.
Yeah, I also agree. That was a minimum requirement.
That was my minimum requirement, and I was trying to think of people who I've watched recently who have like high personality or just like a lot of personality that I would enjoy watching Doctor as. So I started with the first person I've got is Lydia West, who was in It's a Sin earlier this year. Played the main girl character in that show. I can't remember the character's name. But obviously I really like that. And I mean, my connection here is that show was written by Russell T Davies, who of course brought back Doctor Who and did the first several years run of the show. So, you know, like maybe put in a good word, but she's really fun in that show. She's both very funny, very charming, and she's also sort of the heart of the group and like has a lot of the more emotional scenes. So you see a lot of range for her within that show. And I think that she could be, and she's young. Like you could have like a young, probably even younger than like Matt Smith or anything like that. I think she is. So it'd be a proper young Doctor, I guess, which would be in a somewhat interesting direction. I'd be totally down for her. First POC Doctor as well. It would be if they did that. Well, no, actually no, it wouldn't because they've done that one in the last season. Which I can't remember the actress's name, but they did the one.
Joe Roberts.
Yeah, Joe Roberts. They did Joe Roberts, yeah. So, I don't know. First proper, whatever. That's one. Anyway, yeah, her.
My number 3, Robert Sheehan. People would probably more recently know him from The Umbrella Academy, plays Klaus. But of course, he played Nathan back in the day in Misfits. Like you said, a bit of an eccentric. Definitely has his own personality and flair to him. And I think that would be interesting take on the Doctor. Maybe a bit more, adult. Don't go so family friendly with this next Doctor. Just
well, I had high hopes for that when they hired fucking what's it like Capaldi, but
you
fucking
just
cunt
it.
of a TARDIS.
Yeah, just bleep it. Yeah, this goes salty mouth.
Yeah.
Dylan, what's your number 2?
Number 2, Jim Knoll needs to put in a good word. Olivia Colman. Bring her back. Broadchurch, bring her over.
See, I put this on the unrealistic side.
Why? Look, I didn't have 2 columns. It said, who do you want to see play the Doctor, right?
That's true.
Was that not the question?
No.
Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman has proven throughout various movies and projects and TV shows that she can play both sort of like naive, silly, really funny, outrageous, angry. Like she has a huge range, which is perfect for the Doctor, in my opinion. And she would be really great as a Doctor. And that was a really good option. I don't know who would disagree that Olivia Colman would be a bad pick.
It should be a fantastic.
Exactly.
I just don't think she's got time in her schedule. Like
fuck her schedule.
Academy Award-esque.
Yeah,
Academy Award nominated films. It's like
but follow your heart. Have you always wanted to play the Doctor, Olivia? Yeah, you can.
Maybe. My number 2, Emily Mortimer. So the one that I thought most closely connected to, obviously, that she was in the newsroom. I'd love to see a character in the vein of Mackenzie McHale be the Doctor, like unable to figure out certain things, but being super smart in super other areas. And maybe I just want an Aaron Sorkin written Doctor Who. That would be weird.
Just fucking 15-minute monologues and shit.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
Save money on the special effects. Just have a talk about.
Take it back
to
the heyday of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
No special effects.
We don't need all this running around. Let's just put people in a room having a conversation.
Yeah.
Good times. Dylan, who's your number 1?
This feels like a real cop-out, but this is my legit answer. Someone I don't know. Now, my reasoning for this is I didn't know who the hell David Tennant was before Doctor Who, and now you do, and he's super famous, and I'm always going to think of him from Doctor Who. Matt Smith, I didn't know who the hell he was before watching it, and now he's super famous. Well, maybe not super, but he's famous, and he's in Hollywood doing movies and whatever else. He's in fucking The Queen and all that sort of shit. Of course, if I for the rest of history, for the rest of my life, if I think Matt Smith, I'm going to think of Doctor Who. So my two favorite, I mean, even Chris Eccleston, I just think Doctor Who for most of the time. He's done a bunch of other stuff as well. Definitely don't think about Thor Dark World or whatever the hell it was called.
You should.
That's for sure. No, I think the thing on the Doctor Who. Yeah, so I mean, lots of characters. I mean, they always just come back to Doctor Who, and I didn't know who the hell these people were before they were cast as the Doctor in the show. So it feels like a cop out, but I reckon my number one choice would be find a talent like them, find someone I don't know, find someone who I can just like sort of not have to be like, oh, this person I already know from movie thing, blah, 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 is now playing Doctor. Just give me someone who's barely been in anything, some younger person or whatever, and just let them go and let them just let me come in, no preconceived notions. And that feels very much in line with Doctor Who's history to me. Or at least the majority of its history. Even a lot of the original Doctors. A lot of them hadn't went super famous or hadn't been in much before they were in it.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good answer. Smarter answer than I would have come up with.
Okay.
So my number one, Chance Perdomo, who people will probably best know from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, is Ambrose.
Oh,
yeah.
He's British. He's
British. I picked the British one out. Yeah, he just has. He was definitely the most flamboyant character or the most memorable character in that series. He's out of work at the moment. He no longer committed to that show. Obviously, a show that has special effects and that kind of stuff, so he's used to that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think he'd be an interesting fit for the Doctor. I think skewing it, I don't know what they're looking for in the Doctor is my first thought. Do they want to stick with a woman? Do they want to go person of color? Do they want to just go back to young? Do they want to stay old? It's all over the place. It's a really interesting place where they can pick anybody now, though.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But I also feel like if they just go back to a white straight dude,
yeah,
then it's like the haters won to a degree, because the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who haven't been received that well. So it feels like if they go back, it's kind of like defeat,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've had some interesting people brought up. So I'll mention some people. You say yes or no. So one of the big four frontrunners is Ollie Alexander from It's a Sin.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but I'd rather my pick from It's a Sin. Isn't he like a musician though or some shit?
Yes. So he's come out and said he's like focused on his music, but that could just be a smokescreen.
Okay.
Another big one that's been rumored in the last couple of days, Hamish Patel from Yesterday and Tenet.
Nah.
Rumor is they were trying to court Daniel Kaluuya.
I mean, I'd be all about that, but it ain't gonna happen. No fucking way is that gonna happen. But yeah, sure.
Yep. Then some other names. Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
I mean, fuck yeah, but it ain't gonna happen.
Again.
Yeah, sure.
Michaela Cole from You May Destroy Me, or whatever that big series is.
Well, I haven't watched that, but I know. Yeah, well, everyone loves her in that, right? So
yeah.
I can't say because I haven't watched that yet, even though I know we need to. But sure, don't know. Can't say. Richard Ayoade. Fuck yeah. Cast him and Noel Fielding as the Doctor together. Somehow they just switch. I don't know. No. Put.
I mean, people have pitched that idea.
Cast Richard as a Doctor and cast Noel as like someone who's like one of the Doctor's friends, and that's part of the show. It's just Richard and Noel just playing themselves, just bitching about shit in the TARDIS and having weird conversations. I'm all about that. Yeah.
Jodie Comer. It seems like again, no chance.
No chance, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
And the other one that I was seeing constantly bring it up, Michael Sheen.
Nah. That feels too old timey Doctor Who typecasting to me.
I think they only want that because he's so close to David Tennant. Like, they're good buddies in that. It's like, if you're like, hey, we could do like a team up episode.
Yes, it'll be even weirder since they're doing that second season of
Good Omens, yeah.
Good Omens. Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, that's been top 3 for this episode. Let's move back into some film news. South Park. Dylan, do you like South Park?
Show up, Cartman! Oh,
Well, MTV Entertainment Studios has announced that they're doing an expansion deal with co-creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They'll see South Park extended on Comedy Central through 2027. Through 2027, yeah, which would take it to an unprecedented 30th season. But on top of that, they've also part of this $90 million deal. Agreed that they'll make 14 South Park original made-for-streaming movies for Paramount Plus, starting with 2 films in 2021. Interesting story. I feel like South Park is obviously a massive thing in culture, but I don't think...
How much South Park have you watched? It was never
nothing in the last...
But
like when I was younger,
yeah,
obviously, I think the first few seasons was like on SBS or whatever, and like
it was on at like 10 o'clock at night.
That I like had like South Park vinyl figurines, like that my mum got me at like way too a young age to have been enjoying South Park.
Yeah, but it's a cartoon, so it's for kids.
It's a cartoon, I played like the kart racer game on 64. Mr. Hanky poop everywhere. It's like, yeah, it's crazy that it's been going 30 years. But yeah, this deal to do 12 special movies apparently is because they sold the streaming rights to HBO for HBO Max. So you can stream South Park on HBO Max, but then they launched Paramount Plus that they wanted to put the South Park on. So now they're going to have these special movies that'll be exclusive to Paramount Plus to make up for not being able to have 30 seasons of South Park currently.
Fuck did you just say, little boy? Yeah, that's not confusing at all. Now we're really entering the streaming age. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. More South Park's not a bad thing. South Park hangs around because it's like it's the one show that constantly pushes the buttons and also gets away with it because it's most of the time aligned, I guess, on the right side of history, because it's usually making fun of the right sorts of people, I guess. Like, it mostly punches up, I guess, in its comedy, even when it's being pseudo racist or homophobic at times. It's usually because it's making fun of, I don't know, like it rides a very thin line at times, but it obviously gets away with it for reasons.
Yep. Yeah, massive thing. Including in this press release, it says South Park continues to keep its place in cultural zeitgeist with this year's South Park vaccination special ranking as the #1 cable telecast of the year with nearly 3.5 total viewers across the night, and the pandemic special, which ranged as the cable's #1 scripted telecast of 2020. So that's pretty crazy. South Park's still pulling them in, considering they make them in like 6 days. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Trey and Matt still do just older voices. It's fucking dumb.
Absolutely.
So dumb.
Interesting story around the Gotham Awards. This is a reasonably big awards ceremony in New York. I believe it's like, yeah. So it's the film awards for the Independent Filmmaker Project. So it's like a bunch of people with mostly based in New York who give out their own set of awards, much like you have a bunch of different places that give out awards at the end of the year. But the big change they've made this year is they're removing all gender-based, they're eliminating the gendered acting categories, starting with this year's awards. The individual male and female lead categories will be condensed into one outstanding lead performance, while also adding supporting performances. Up to 10 nominees will be eligible in each category. Dylan, is
They
this
copied
something?
us.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier just to come up with 10 instead of coming up with 20. But do you think this is something, the bigger award shows should look at?
Yeah, because it's dumb. Because having male and female awards just automatically excludes non-binary people from being nominated for Academy Awards for a start. So that's fucking dumb in the 21st century. But also, yeah, I mean, we discussed it. We changed ours last year to be just lead, like best actor, or just like straight up. Because the year before we had male, female, and then I was like, this is dumb. I don't know why. Why you really do this? It's like give it to the best person. I don't know. Like, I feel like you could do it at any award show. You can just combine. Like, look at the Oscars. You can just combine lead actor, lead actress, extend the amount of nominees you can have, make it one award, give it to one person. But then also, I would add a subcategory. But then, I don't know, it works better at the Golden Globes because then you can do, which I think this is what we did last year, right? Where it was like best
Dramatic
lead
comedic,
actor
yeah.
in a dramatic role. Is that what we had, right?
Yeah.
And then best lead actor in a like comedy role. So then you can put in the brackets. So like comedy, of course, includes musicals and whatever. Like you come up with your rules for what's inside those terms. Like what's a dramatic role that would include like dramas. Do you want to include your action films in dramatic or comedic? I'd probably lean more towards comedic, depending on the type of performance and action movie. Like if you want to nominate The Rock for something, you're going to nominate him probably for a comedy action film, not a dramatic action film, even if it's not a straight up comedy, you know what I mean? Like you being the award place would structure, you'd have to figure out how you want to award these things. But I feel like that's the way you do it. You just do, and we pioneered it last year is what I'm saying. We pioneered this and I think everyone's copying us now because you do best lead comedic and best lead dramatic, and you just make the nominee list longer and you just award the people that deserve it the most. Because I mean, it's fine. Like if you only nominate white people anyway, then you just nominate white people for both categories anyway, and you still have the same problem, so it's fine.
But see, this is where it changes because then you'll end up with just white men.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you should you though? Would you? Like, how many people do you know?
That's the risk you run.
How many people do they normally nominate at the Oscars?
6.
Like 6, right? So what would you expend it? Let's make it 12. 12 people. You don't have to nominate 6 and 6. That's dumb. But, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we should reach a stage. The idea is you're supposed to have, if 1 year it's fucking 8 men, because that's just the way the cookie fell for dramatic films, and next year it's like fucking 11 women, because that's the way the cookie fell. Like that's the goal, isn't it? As long as everyone's doing it right and not excluding people or not looking outside their fucking very thin windows at the type of movies and people they usually nominate or whatever, like if it's just a bunch of white dudes, then obviously it's a problem. But otherwise, I feel like moving the categories out of best male and female, I don't really have a problem with it. And I think it makes more sense for a lot of reasons. And including the fact that the thing I said at the start, which is it does just straight up exclude non-binary people. So, like, where the fuck do they get nominated?
In one of the 2 categories, unfortunately.
Yeah, they just force them
Which is the case that happened at this Emmys. There's
fucking force them into a gender.
There's 2 binary people, 1 in each category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I don't think it just to one tradition is a thing, and that's always going to be a thing. I don't think they're going to do a massive overhaul of everything. These massive award ceremonies have been going for 60, 70 years. I don't think reducing the number of winners is something they want to do. Because
But if you do dramatic and comedy, you've got 4 leads.
Yeah, but the Academy Awards isn't going to do that. But then the Emmys has already got dramatic and comedy categories.
Yeah, they do. So just change it to... I don't know, they won't. But
Then
they won't
then
anytime soon. But I'll put it out there now. I'll be highly surprised if this doesn't change before I die in our lifetime. I'll be highly surprised if this doesn't change in our lifetime. Will it change this year, next year? Probably not. I would say in our lifetime, I expect this would change.
Could do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a big step, you know?
Mm.
It dramatically reduces the number of people who win Academy Awards, and obviously winning that is such a prestigious thing that you want to give the best possible chance for people to win it. So is being inclusive, but making the thing they want to win harder to get, good in the long run.
The idea is just to give the award the best actors, right?
Yeah, and they do. They just happen to be split up in certain categories. Much in the same way films are split in just random categories.
Yeah. So you just have best director, right? You don't have best female or male director. You know, it's just best director. Best writer. Best, you know, like if you win best film, the producers win. They don't go best film that was produced by men. It's only the acting categories that are actually split. Best score, just best score. It's not split by gender. It's only the acting categories that are split by gender.
Yeah, that's because they want to give the actors more awards. That's why.
Yeah, motherfucking.
If they want to give everybody below the line more awards, they would split it by gender so they could give out twice as much.
Well, just saying, like there are like to say that you can't like have everyone in one category. They do it for 90% of the awards. It's only the acting ones where
it's
they
a fair
split
argument.
them. Just saying.
You know, the acting awards are the ones that people tune into the telecast.
It's true.
To watch.
It's true.
So it's like you reduce the number of people, of those who win and give speeches.
Yeah.
Less people are going to tune in.
I'm sure you could find out a way if a bunch of people sat down in a boardroom and tried to work this out. I'm sure a bunch of people could work this out in a way that would still have as many chances for people and like categories and whatnot. Like we're not going to work it out on this podcast, but I feel like
not without getting paid.
Yeah, I feel like people who are getting paid to sit in the boardroom and figure this out could potentially put some effort in and figure it out.
Yeah, but interesting discussion. It'll be interesting to look forward to, I guess, seeing what the Gotham Awards nominate later this year. All right, let's give some thumbs to trailers. What do you reckon?
Sure.
First up, Kate, the new film coming to Netflix, directed by Cedric Nicholas Troyan, starring Elizabeth Winstead, Miku Martineau, Woody Harrelson, Mikael Husson, and Tadanobu Asano. After she's irreversibly poisoned, a ruthless criminal operative has less than 24 hours to exact revenge on her enemies, and in the process forms an unexpected bond with the daughter of one of her past victims. This one felt like it came out of nowhere and like kind of blew up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell this came from or when it was filmed.
But what do you think overall?
Yeah, it was really good. I'm all about Mary Elizabeth Winstead playing these action movies or whatever. Kind of coming into it, I guess, between this and Birds of Prey and even fuck was that shitty de-aging movie? Whatever the fuck that was called. You know, the Will Smith one. She was in that.
She was in Gemini Man?
Yeah, Gemini Man, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
she's other person in Gemini. Yeah, I'm into it. I don't know why. I kind of wish it was coming to a theater though. Fucking Netflix. Anytime I watch these big action movies or whatever, oh yeah, can't wait to watch. This looks great. Look at all the neon colors and badass gunfights and shit like that. Yeah, fuck yeah, can't wait to watch this on my home TV screen. What a letdown there. Yeah, really good trailer. Totally down for it. I don't know what we're calling these. Don't know what we're calling these genres at this stage. The John Wickish, whatever, because this totally fits into that same subcategory of action movies that all feel like they have the same sort of
the assassin revenge thriller.
Yeah, that sort of thing. By the way, I want to call out when I watch this on YouTube, everyone in the comments is talking about Bandmaid or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck is Bandmaid? And I look it up and it's like a Japanese all-female hard rock group called Bandmaid are apparently appearing as themselves in this movie. And it's such a big deal that everyone in the comment section who are huge super fans just keep talking about how this trailer was pretty good, but I'm only here for Bandmaid. I'm like, they're not even the fucking trailer, but whatever. Like, hardcore.
They're not in the trailer?
Maybe I missed them, but all these
are
people
they not
talking
in the
about
bar scene?
Maybe that was them. I don't know. Fucking, I don't know. But I'm looking through the comments. I'm like, what are you talking about? Band-Aids. And I'm like, oh, Bandmaid. What the hell's a Bandmaid?
I'm sure it's the same if BTS was suddenly in something.
Yeah, it would probably be the same.
Why are these people so interested in behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, fucking wait for the movie to be out and get the DVD. You can look at the BTS. You know, the fucking impatient kids these days. They want to watch behind the scenes before the movie's out. Fucking cheeky.
What do you think this is? Entertainment Tonight?
Yeah, come on now. Ridiculous.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good trailer. Like that neon car. It was like a very cool visual.
It was very cool. Again, I wish I could watch that on the big screen.
Watch it on the cinema, yeah. But yeah.
Double
definitely
thumbs up.
one check out too. Yes, double thumbs up. Coming to Netflix September
10th, I think.
September 10th, yes. Next one, Cinderella. Directed by Kay Cannon, starring Camila Cabello, in Idina Menzel, Minnie Driver, Nicholas Galasine, Billy Porter, and Pierce Brosnan. Cinderella is a musically bold new take on the traditional story you grew up with. Our heroine is an ambitious young woman whose dreams are bigger than the world will allow, but with the help of her Fab G, she is able to persevere and make her dreams come true. Dylan, what did you take of this take of the classic Cinderella story?
I had no idea this was a thing until you shared it and was like, let's talk about this trailer. So, yeah, I had no idea. So, I like the director. I like the cast.
Yes.
I was enjoying the trailer. I was like, cool, musical. It's not Disney, but it feels like classic sort of Cinderella with this unique spin on it. I enjoy the whole, they have like this teasing thing where, you know, like they do the typical Cinderella thing and then the prince is like, you know, come marry me. And she's like, I've got dreams. I got shit to do. I was like, okay, well, they're like totally doing like 21st century woman in the Cinderella story. I'm all about this shit. And then I was like totally into Billy Porter playing what's Fab G or whatever the fuck, not the fairy godmother, whatever they're recalling that character. All about that, loved it. But then James Corden showed up and I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this anymore.
He was in it for like 5 seconds.
He's playing a fucking rat or a mouse. I'm like, yeah, you fucking would be, wouldn't you, mate?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Going down the pecking order.
Yeah. It kind of ruined
Rabbit.
it for me. Yeah, I mean.
Cat. Mouse.
I'm at one up, one down. I may have given it double thumbs up if that motherfucker hadn't showed up.
Really? No, this stud did nothing for me. It's like, it doesn't look very good, and obviously going for this modern music take, it could have an interesting take, but yeah, it's a 2 thumbs down for me. This
I don't know why it was working for me. I was like, this is totally riding the line of like,
I get it. It's like
cheesy middle-aged.
It's like a pitch perfect take of Cinderella, but I don't know. It just feels like it's trying too hard, I think.
Billy Porter, Dina Menzel, fucking Pierce Brosnan, Mini Drop. There's a bunch of people in this I'm totally about. Kate Cannon I really like. So people who don't know, Kate Cannon did wrote Perfect. Like Pitch Perfect and some stuff like that, and then her first directorial movie was Blockers. We love Blockers. And I'm not saying this is anything like Blockers. Or maybe it is, we don't know.
That's the problem.
That would be a completely different movie. But I mean, maybe that's why I'm more into it. Because even if I was like, I don't know, the trailer was okay, maybe I'm just being, I'm being like tricked. I'm like, I like a lot of people that are involved in this movie. Like, I like Pitch Perfect. I like Blockers. I like Kay. I like the cast. I'm into music.
All right, this one's coming to Amazon Prime. It's coming to Amazon Prime September 3. So, I guess if you like that, I'll probably end up watching it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, Mogul Mowgli, directed by Bassam Tariq, starring Riz Ahmed, Aisha Hart, Ali Khan, Sudha Bachar, Nabhan Rizwan, and Arjana Vasan. On the brink of his first international tour, Zed, a British-Pakistani rapper, decides to fly home to the UK to visit his family he's not seen in 2 years. In the midst of trying to reconnect with his parent, he is suddenly struck down by an autoimmune disease. As his condition worsens and his big breakthrough moment is in danger of vanishing into thin air, Zed descends into a physical and emotional crisis, amplified by vivid hallucinations. So this is a film that's kind of done the festival circuit. I believe it may have come out in the UK last year, and it's kind of just got like a US push and probably elsewhere push. But Dylan, what did you think of the trailer?
I thought the trailer was bad, but I'm into the movie. So trailer double thumbs down. Interesting movie, 1 up, 1 down. But yeah, the trailer was just a mess. It was just fucking just horribly edited and put together, and just I don't know what the fuck it was trying to do. But yeah, I hadn't when I watched this, because I watched this like when it came out like a week or two ago, and whenever I saw a trailer for it pop up, I was like, what the fuck? Why is Riz Ahmed like, oh, totally like sound metal? Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll play someone who like goes deaf. Yeah, that's totally all about that. He's like, what should my next movie be? Well, I was playing a drummer who went deaf, so now I'm going to play a rapper who gets like really sick. What the what are you doing, dude? Like, have a break. Do a movie for yourself. Do one that's not.
This is one for himself.
I know he did co-write it. Yeah, I mean I guess it hits closer to home because he's a hip hop artist, on the side or before being an actor, I guess. But he's not an actual drummer, so maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference of things, but yeah, no, I'm into it. I think it obviously has the potential to be as engaging as, I guess, we're comparing it to Sound of Metal or whatever else. Like the setup and everything's there, and we know Riz Ahmed's a really good actor and whatever else. This one seems more culturally, I guess, interesting.
Specific.
Yeah, specific. So that it has that factor going for it as well, which is interesting. So I'm into it. I just thought the trailer was shit.
Yeah, the trailer is not well put together. I had a look, and it's actually the same trailer they've used before. So obviously they think it works. It definitely reads more like a teaser because it doesn't give you any information about the plot at all. For those who haven't made the effort to go watch it, I should say all the links to all these trailers are in the show notes below. Yeah, it's just him rapping over cut footage, which it really does not do anything to sell you on the film. So, but I think that this wouldn't work 12 months ago, but now after Riz Ahmed's Sound of Metal, you see him performing, you're like, oh, it's Riz Ahmed. At least that's enough to engage you to come in and potentially watch it. But yeah, other than obviously the cultural difference and that kind of stuff, but yeah, not a good trailer at it, in my opinion. So, but yeah, no release date for that in Australia at the moment. But yeah, I thought it is coming to the US September 3rd. So maybe sometime in the near future. Next trailer, Y: The Last Man, starring Ben Schetzner, Diane Lane, Olivia Thirlby, and Ashley Romans. Based on the DC acclaimed series by Brian K. Vaughan and Pierre Guerrera, the drama Y: The Last Man traverses a post-apocalyptic world in which a cataclysmic event decimates every mammal with a Y chromosome, but for one cisgender man and his pet monkey. The series follows the survivors in this new world as they struggle with their efforts to restore what was lost and build something better. Dylan, were you a fan of the Y: The Last Man series?
I've read the first volume, and it's definitely one of those comics that is well regarded, and like one of the, you look up like the best 100 comics of all time, that sort of thing. This usually is on the list, and I've always been like, I need to read that all, and I've just never got around to it. So I
thought it was going to go the other way, and I hated it.
No, I liked it, and it was one of those ones where I think I got the first volume for cheap, probably like a couple dollars on sale. Checked it out, and I was like, cool. Instead of like buying full price for the next ones, I'll totally wait until like an omnibus is on sale or something at the time, and it just like never happened, or I kept waiting and I forgot, like it fell into that sort of weird pile of stuff I never got around to. But well aware of I've read those first 6 issues or whatever, as I said years ago. I can barely remember what the hell happened, to be honest. But it's always been this sort of famous pro comic series or movie that they were trying to make it into a movie like 10 years ago. They've been trying to make this into a movie for a long time. So now it's a TV series. And to be completely honest, until people started talking about this like a couple weeks ago and saying like a trailer was coming, I was like, what? They made that? Like, I actually I completely forgot. I know we've probably even talked about it on here at some stage, and I was like, they actually filmed that shit? It's actually a thing that's happening? Because it was such an up-down thing for years. I swear they've been trying to make it into a movie for like 10 fucking years.
So the film rights were first acquired by New Line Cinema in July 2007, with DJ Caruso set to direct.
Over 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was going to have Shia LaBeouf in the lead role.
Fucking hell. Imagine. I think this is obviously going to be better suited for a TV series because it just get more time to explore the characters and themes, and I don't know, it just feels like something that probably is better suited as a TV show, so that's good. Trailer was good. I feel like this has the potential to be quite a big hit show. I found it quite funny when the trailer dropped and people on Twitter were like talking about it like it was such a like new wave political theme, like, oh my god, only the women survive, one dude, like this stuff. I'm like, this comic's old. Like,
it came out September 2002.
Yeah, I was like,
first issue.
This comic's old. What are you talking about? Like, this isn't some like new age fucking left wing agenda. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I feel like this show's gonna be quite interesting to watch people talk about and react to and whatever else. The trailer was really good. I like the cast. Like the monkeys in it. I don't know.
It is.
I mean, it was a decent trailer. It just didn't give away much. It was like literally the trailer's just like, it's a decent. I'll give it the trailer 1 up, 1 down. Like, it didn't blow me away, but it did a perfect job of like setting up the core premise of the show and like the comic book, I guess, and whatever else. Because of course the trailer's basically like, hey, here's everyone. Now the men die. What the fuck? Oh, the women fucking, should we try and save men and bring them back? Nah, fuck you, bye, die. And then this dude, he finds a monkey. Oh, look, city's fucked. The world show. Like, it's not really like, it doesn't really set up. It's like a teaser trailer almost, so to a degree. So, but yeah, it's fine. 1 up, 1 down. I'm keen for the show though. Very, very keen.
Yep. I like the trailer a bit more. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I think, obviously I've read the entire run.
Have you?
Comic books. This is like one of the first like graphic novel series that I read that wasn't superheroes. It's like, oh, you can do other stuff with this just like format.
Who is it? Is it Brian K. Vaughan or is it someone else?
Brian K. Vaughan, yes.
It is, okay. Yeah.
So they kind of put him on the map as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of invested and obviously follow along over the several years as it's been in development under people you did like and people you didn't like, and now obviously it's here. And I think they shot the pilot last year with Barry Keoghan as Yorick, and obviously he dropped out since. So, even at the last hurdle, it's like you have things happen. But I thought obviously set up the premise really well. Maybe a little bit on the nose with It's a Man's World, but I think it was a cool arrangement. Like, and I think it will be interesting to see the take that they go, what direction they take this series. Obviously, they can tackle the subject matter in a different way than they would. Brian K. Vaughan would have in 2002. So, it as much as I love the books, I fully expect this to be different and hit different themes and have different sort of characters and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very keen. I will say the other thing is the showrunners dropped out like halfway through right before the series started filming, because that always happens.
Well, it's never a good sign, so.
It's never a good sign, but, I guess we'll see. So this obviously airing in FX in America, so maybe coming to Disney+. It's hard to say with everything at the moment. There's no confirmation. Like, you would assume it would be a Star series if they want to keep it in-house.
I mean, Hulu, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
Hulu goes to Star.
Yeah. All right, last one. House of Gucci. Directed by Ridley Scott, starring Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Jeremy Irons, Jack Houston, Salma Hayek, Al Pacino. The turbulent marriage and divorce of Patrizia Maurizio Gucci, the head of the Gucci fashion house, leads to murder. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer?
I watched it twice a day it came out because I liked it so much. This is such a good trailer. So 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. This is such a well put together. This is such a well put together trailer. I thought this is it's so well paced, like the music and just like, oh, this reminded me like an 80s trailer. This reminded me like of watching a trailer for fucking like Scarface or something.
Yeah, this feels like a
Like,
throwback trailer.
Yeah, it does. Like it doesn't look like an old movie, but just the way it's edited and the way it like introduces all the actors and characters and pieces, it really does. It just felt like watching an 80s drama thriller type trailer or something like that. I'm all about like Jar Jar looks fucking amazing in this, like so good. Can't wait to see it. But I mean, the rest of the cast looks awesome. Driver, of course, I'm a fan of, and everyone else. Fucking Jared Leto, you can't even
Unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah,
If
I didn't know that was Jared Leto, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's so many like actors in this that I'm fan, and then obviously it's a Ridley Scott film, so I'm gonna watch it anyway because it's a Ridley Scott film, and Ridley Scott does really good movies like 9 times out of 10. So you've got that going for you. But this was a really great trailer. I can't wait to watch it, and it totally like jumps to the top of my like sort of most anticipated list very quickly. As soon as I watched it, I was like, "Fuck yes, give me this." This is my type of movie. Like this sort of like just fucking crime drama thing with really good acting for fucking 80s and whatever else. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, there's definitely a vibe around this that feels nostalgic and like of yesteryear, like a film that we haven't had in a while. That I think is drawing a lot of like. Obviously, it's so focused on star power to a certain degree, but it's like a story that I know nothing about. But from the looks of it, like
I know how
very
it ends because I didn't look it up, but I already like knew the core.
Pretty
like,
sure he dies.
Well, yeah, but I know. Do you know? Well, no, I won't say.
No, I know nothing.
Like I know the core, like why and who.
I know Gucci is still a thing, so
yeah,
I'm sure it doesn't go too badly.
So I think it was brought up in some of it random documentary I was watching once. Like they briefly covered it, like as a side tangent, like just mentioning or whatever. So
was the Gucci thing one of the American?
No, that was different. That was a different
fashion designer.
That was different fashion.
They all get murdered. It's weird.
Yeah, they get murdered, yeah.
But yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. So yeah, top of the list of something. I think it's obviously it's got huge awards buzz already. Did it? No, it hasn't debuted at Cannes. I thought it wasn't at Cannes. It was a net.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's debuted anywhere. Yeah, I don't think anyone's watched it yet. So I've currently got like this and Pig at the top of my sort of most anticipated, which is very different movies, but I think they're like my 2 most anticipated currently.
Interesting. Do you have another one for top 3? Impromptu top 3?
I don't know. What? No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know. What's A24 got coming out? Whatever that is. That's my answer. What else? Whatever else A24 has. Who else would I care about? When's Wes Anderson's movie come out?
Fresh Dispatch later this year.
Right, there. 3.
Let's see. They got Zola coming out.
Yeah.
Zola, Dahl, Green Knight.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, alright. There's my top 5. Done.
Alright.
It's A24, Wes Anderson, and House of Gucci.
Gotcha, yeah. And Pig.
Yeah, Pig. But it's Neon, which is basically the upcoming A24 is producing that one. So.
Cool. All right. That brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Let us know what your picks for the next Doctor are, or where on your list House of Gucci is. By going to Twitter at explosion.com/Twitter, or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show on Twitter or in person if you're allowed to. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support and buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.